I know. I used to always sign up Division 1.
One, two, three. All set? We're gonna start.
Good evening, everyone. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If I could have we do have a quorum. If I could have a motion to approve the agenda for tonight, June 12th, 2023.
Have Eric and Jim.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay, now for the fun stuff. We're going to be honoring our retirees, and we would like to congratulate everyone. So I am going to turn it over to our superintendent, Mike Bennett, who will start us off.
Yes, good evening, everyone. It is an honor and a pleasure to be at this meeting. This is my second year being able to do this now. And it is really a great opportunity to showcase a few folks who have spent a lot of time and have given a lot of themselves to our community, to our kids, and who have left a lasting impact on our school community. So I am going to take this opportunity to, Mr. Mahan could not be here this evening, but he did send me, I will tell you, a pretty lengthy, some words to say. So I am not going to steal his thunder. This is his words. I don't know if I'm quite as eloquent as Mr. Mahan is. So Mr. Mahan could not be here tonight. However, he wanted me to share that these educators are not only colleagues and friends, but they are personally important to him because they are the last two Greenville elementary teachers who taught members of his own family. And both Miss Vincent and Mrs. Konis continue to be spoken of in high regard at family events. It is wonderful when alumni are among the best and the brightest, and Miss Vincent is all of that. She has created a caring and encouraging environment for our youngest students for over 30 years. Lisa loves all of her students, yet she has special fondness for young children who have experienced the rougher side of life. She welcomes them literally with open arms and doesn't flinch when their needs require her to start fresh each day. Throughout her career, Lisa had not been afraid to try new strategies to encourage the best in her students. Whether it's exploring the best ways to teach phonemic awareness, developmentally appropriate technology use, or explicit methods for printing, Lisa's classroom has been an important place of exploring practices that support kindergarten learners. When we launched science notebooks in kindergarten, Lisa was the first teacher to invite her principal in to share in the fun. Thank you for being a team leader, frequent volunteer, and a source of joy within our building. Thank you.
It's really nice that you're retiring, but you're way too young. Lisa.
We've got a picture, photo op. Yours will probably come out better, but. One, two, three.
Didn't even have to say cheese.
I know on three. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Mrs. Konis. Mrs. Konis has a passion for the older elementary students, with much of her career focused on the needs of grades 3 and 4. Mrs. Konis brings passion to every part of the curriculum, whether she's teaching about science, math, social studies, character, reading, or writing, she is all in. She teaches students to laugh at what they enjoy, gag at what is gross, and then keep going until it's cool. To wonder deeply what we can learn from a character's behavior, and to write until you find yourself pouring into the page. In short, she teaches them to think deeply and to live every minute of it. She even teaches students how people can cheer for their favorite team while still loving her opponent's fans deeply. This ability will carry each of her students towards in a way they can barely imagine. It should be noticed that Mrs. Konis is one of the few people in this portion of New York State who has credentialed to teach gifted students. Her gifted and talented program at Ellis was a great value to the students and teachers, was the last gifted and talented program to survive in this part of the state. Under her tenure, young children explored interests that extended the learning standards, and older children were provided access to content that stretched them as young thinkers, accelerated math, math Olympiad, etc. As we move past the time of frequent changing standards, we seek to integrate the practices you modeled within your classroom, and you will continue to influence our thinking. To the two of you, your fingertips cover this building and us in a beautiful way. So thank you. Mrs. Konis. Wow. All right, we're going to keep going here, and I'm going to keep going. Our next presentation goes to someone who I have known for a very short time, but has influenced me in a lot of ways. I will tell you that Janet Massman has given 25 years to this district as treasurer and as our business official. What I know about Janet is she is passionate, she's hardworking, and she is an ultimate team player who is willing to do anything for anybody if they get it to her on time. Now, Janet, you have taught me in the short time that I've been here a whole bunch, and I can't thank you enough for what you meant to me personally and professionally. Sitting in the office next to you, it was easy to call over and say, Janet, I got a question, which I did often. But you've dedicated your life to the work here in Greenville, and we've benefited by your presence, by your work ethic. I know the last few months have been extremely difficult. We have gone through some changes at the district office, and you've been pulling double duty for the better half of the year. I cannot thank you enough for your professionalism, for your dedication, and for your hard work. Todd's going to have some big shoes to fill. So I want to thank you for your 25 years here in Greenville.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Janet, you been out in the sun?
Why, am I all red?
Congratulations.
Yeah. And we have one more. Duncan, it seems like yesterday when I remember you sharing that you wanted to run for the board. And as I look at the date, it was over 10 years ago. One of the words that's been bandied about is passionate. And that doesn't even come close to describing, I think, your love for Greenville, your dedication to the students, and just all the time that you have given to improving everything. It's wonderful to be able to work along with you. Your knowledge is fabulous. You're always willing to share that knowledge, to challenge all of us to keep improving. And you tell some great stories. Thank you for being a part of the board. Thank you for helping make Greenville a spectacular place. And thank you for just being you.
And this is for you.
Janet, is my face red?
Yes.
Bit of the sun.
1, 2, 3. Thank you.
We do have one more retiree. I'm going to ask Todd to come up and say a few words. I know that Christy Gorrigan, our high school principal, is unable to be here this evening, so Todd's pinch hitting.
Thanks, Mike. So before I read about Julie Hamilton, I'm going to do a quick appreciation. Just listening about the 4 people that just shared, I am so appreciative of all 4 of you. Janet is now my mentor, has been, but even more so now, and I learn something new from her every day. Duncan, you were on the original hiring committee and have been an advocate of mine from the day I came to Greenville, so thank you for that. Sue Konis, I have never had so much fun as when I dissect squid with you in your classroom in 4th graders, so if you ever have a bad day, just imagine a 4th grade classroom dissecting 12 squid, and everything is better. Especially at the end when a kid says, I'm going home to tell Dad I want calamari for dinner. So these are great stories that I will always have with me. And Lisa Vincent, I still have it saved somewhere, the best voicemail ever, when Lisa called and started just rambling on about best bugs arriving in her classroom and what is she supposed to do with these bugs and they're crawling all over the place and how am I supposed to keep these things alive, all for the betterment of teaching science. So I appreciate all 4 of you, so thank you for everything you've done for Greenville. But as Mike said, I'm actually up here to speak about Julie Hamilton. Mrs. Gorgan, as high school principal, wasn't able to be here, so these words are from me, but also from Christy. And Julie wasn't able to be here, but the beauty of this being recorded is hopefully she can listen to this after the fact to hear some appreciation for her as well. So Julie Hamilton has been at Greenville for 17 years and had 11 years teaching prior to coming here in another district in Delhi. She's taught everything from middle school English all the way up through 12th grade and currently teaches 12th grade as well as our International Baccalaureate class for juniors and seniors. She's been an integral part of the English department, has been a leader within the IB team, and also has served as the department chair for her department for many years. Something I admire about Julie is her constant drive to be a lifelong learner for herself. While she has taught grade 12 for at least 10 years, there are seriously no 2 years alike because she's always reflecting and learning for herself so that she can better teach her students. On a personal note, Julie was one of those teachers early on for me at Greenville that was always a place that I knew I could go to just share ideas and get some feedback, and was truly a supporter of mine, again, ever since I first came to Greenville. So while I can share plenty of great things about Mrs. Hamilton, I think even more important than my words are some words and some feedback from students. Earlier this year, we, as part of our National Center Rural Education project that we are part of, we had some visitors come to Greenville and do some focus group interviews with some of our seniors. And I was able to sit in just to listen to those conversations. And a big part of the conversation was around what are strengths. As seniors leaving Greenville or getting ready to leave Greenville, what are strengths of this school here in Greenville? So there was a consistent theme from seniors, and that theme was Mrs. Hamilton. They spoke about her strength as a teacher. They spoke about knowing that when they went into her classroom, they knew they were going into a supportive, safe environment, but they also knew that they were going to be pushed to think and grow as writers and readers. So it was really interesting for me to sit and listen to this constant theme come up of like, oh, Mrs. Hamilton, that's a strength. Oh, Mrs. Hamilton's classroom and what she had us do has been a strength for Greenville. So Julie has clearly had an impact on those students and many more that came before them. So on behalf of myself and Ms. Gorgon, just want to recognize Julie for all of her years of service to Greenville and wish her the best of luck in retirement. I know a lot of it will be grandma time, so enjoy. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone. I'm going to move us on to the presentation. The first presentation is for the capital project, and we have Matt Schools from SEI who is going to be presenting. And you do not have to stay. You're welcome to stay, but it's not a requirement. And thank you again.
Push the button. It's not on.
There's a gray button.
Gotcha.
Yep, now it's on. And you can adjust it if it's easier, just.
Okay. So we're here from SEI to, I guess, present the progress for the capital project development. I'll also speak a little bit about what we've got going on just outside with our summer work. But since we're largely visual people, I am going to share a small packet. We've got it digitally, but I don't think. Yeah.
Thank you.
So, in the interest of time, I will walk through this pretty quickly, so just so you understand what you're looking at. In general, this has been a really fulfilling process, especially here in Greenville. We've had many meetings and many, I guess, summaries of meetings and presentations along the way. Right now, for the large capital project, we have gone through a schematic design process. We've gone through a design development process, and we're embarking on a construction documents process. So those are the three main phases of any project design process. Construction documents, of course, the phase where you get more and more granular in preparing the designs and the documentation of the designs for permit and submission to the state education department. So what you're seeing is really a snapshot. Lots of it's in progress, so it looks a little bit like a construction document that might have a little bit more complication, while it also shares some of the layout information. Like I started to say, it's been really great. I mean, we started with focus groups, and attendance was amazing. Everybody really was appreciative that their thoughts were being considered and they were being invited to the table. So always very fulfilling to you know, feel that feedback and appreciation for what the district is really trying to accomplish here. Beyond focus groups, so focus groups are really when we talk and get the thoughts and input of the people that essentially will be using the spaces that we're designing. Beyond focus groups, we of course went back and forth, did a couple of rounds of meetings with focus groups after we had designs. We went back to them and got their feedback again, and it's just a process we go through. Beyond focus groups, Greenville has a large a building committee that we presented to a couple of times, and of course we presented at a couple of cabinet meetings just to keep everybody apprised of what was going on. I will quickly walk through what you're looking at. I won't get granular unless you ask me to. But the first couple of pages are just overall plan views of the elementary school, where you can see there's a little bit more detail where, and maybe furniture where we're impacting work. As you scroll through the pages, the first sort of couple of enlarged plans are examples of where we are doing a little bit more work. Let's see. Yeah, so there's a couple of course, the first page that really gets into larger plans, we're looking at a couple of underutilized offices that have been pretty much vacated because of the air quality. So we're, of course, renovating those rooms and improving the air quality. The next larger plan is the pre-K classroom. So that would be the front of the third page, the pre-K classroom. If you can picture the existing pre-K classroom, it's about 2/3 the size of this, so we're expanding it and we're adding a bathroom inside the classroom. So that's a great aspect, just having a space, really not giving anything up or trading off, and just getting a larger space for instruction is a great aspect of the project for the UPK program. As you flip the pages to the next couple of pages, we're looking at our interchangeable classroom work. So as we know, a couple of summers ago, we did a renovation of 2 what we'll call interchangeable classrooms that we tried to set the standard for moving forward and setting a minimum level of standard, which is adding a sink to the classrooms, adding some storage, replacing lighting, more energy efficient, replacing ceilings, replacing the heating and ventilating systems. So that you'll see some examples there of, yes?
I'm curious if, because we had 2 classrooms that were, or at least I remember 2 classrooms that were renovated, were there any changes or different needs now that they've been used? I'm curious.
Interestingly enough, we've had, and it's great to have the design and execution, and then 1 or 2 years later be able to revisit. It doesn't happen often enough that that we're coming and reviewing our own work. The feedback has been overwhelmingly positive, so there really isn't much need that we're hearing to deviate from what was done there. The work has been appreciated. It's all excitement, essentially, what we're hearing. So that was great news, because we had the opportunity and still have the opportunity to react and change course, but it sounds like we're in pretty good shape with the example that was set. What we are dealing with is not every classroom is alike. Of course, the second floor higher grades have lockers. They don't need cubbies, so you've got a little bit more room. And in the lower grades, you've got cubbies in the classrooms, and we need to apply different designs to those things. And you'll see a little bit of that if you look in depth in the packet here. But it's been very good, and we came in really sort of interested in hearing the feedback and hearing what could be done better. And it's we didn't get criticized that much, so
Great.
So we'll keep plugging ahead. Let's see, as I go forward here, I'm going to skip over the kindergarten, where the back wing where kindergarten is. We're contemplating the amount of work that we can handle. As we move through the phases of the project, we're always checking checking the progress, trying to keep everything on budget, because ultimately.
Is your phone near? If your phone is near, that might be setting off. Thank you.
We'll try again. So, again, I was saying we're always trying to be conscious of the budget along the way. So one of the things that we're right now getting into, now that we've completed the design development phase, is getting a construction cost estimate. The drawings are not complete drawings, but they give an idea of what the scope is, and an estimator, such as your construction management group, will take those documents, work with us, and return a probable cost for construction. If we're under, fantastic, because we've got scope built into the project that we can continue with and add in. If we're over, we react to that, and we ultimately, at some point along the line, we make difficult decisions to make sure that the project doesn't go over budget. As you get into the 5th page, you start seeing some rendering images. So if you go to that page, in the elementary school, there is, it's where we're doing really a good amount of work. We're taking the old multi-purpose gym and we're converting that into a music wing almost, and we're adding a new multi-purpose gym onto the building off the back. So you can see that plan where we've been massaging the plan of the existing building to serve the needs of both the band and chorus, which both act as general music classrooms. So there's a lot of versatility and ultimately space that needs to be created. So we're trying to get a plan, work out a plan that is most efficient and doesn't compromise too much on the programs, the offices, those types of things, while adding single occupant bathrooms to the building on this wing where they are desperately needed. Moving on, the last few pages, we get into the middle high school. As you'll see an overall plan of the middle high school, and then a blow-up plan of the art rooms. So as a reminder, we're creating new space to take the middle school and high school art and make both of them larger at the same time. So the high school art room will occupy mainly addition space, and what we've discovered about that wing of the building, which is just out the windows this way, is that the roof and the structure is kind of low, certainly compared to a space like this.
We want to switch that up. Rich, you want to give him a new mic?
Switch mics.
Something in my head, apparently. I got a feeling that's setting it off.
Just don't start tapping.
So we've got the opportunity with the addition space to make really more of a premier art room and push the ceiling up, push the roof up for at least the part we're building. So that is one thing that we're happy to be accomplishing with the high school art room. At the same time, we're making the middle school art room just as large as the new high school art room will be. So there's a plan there on your second to last page of those rooms. And then the last couple of pages are a little bit more boring, but it shows you sort of the level of detail we're getting into right now, where we're drawing elevations of each of the walls of the building, interior and exterior, and that's what we've been using to go through with focus groups and folks to sort out the design. Because as I said, as we move forward, we get more granular when we start asking about, does your storage need to be in drawers or, behind doors with shelves? Do you need a lock on that door? So there's, without exaggeration, just millions of little fine details that we go through. So that's the process we're starting now. Any questions on the capital project?
So right now, when do you anticipate, like, when would you start bidding based on these plans? What is the timeline, if you could just refresh our memory?
So our hope building the project has been to bid in a timely fashion in order to achieve construction by the summer of 2024. So the best time to bid is the end of this year. A good time to bid is the beginning of next year. Of course, we're up against sort of an unknown scheduling clock when we submit permit documents to the state. They can take anywhere from 2 months to 6 months, and that can largely impact how, when we go out to bid. So right now, we're from the original schedule, we're actually attempting to shave several months off of the time that it should be taking to get into the state as early as possible, to increase our chances of just getting a good bid environment and getting out of SED in the right time frame. One of the things that's happened that you may know about is we planned this project. When we planned the project, there was a third-party review process for permitting where you can pay a little bit of money and essentially go to the front of the line and get your project reviewed easily within 2.5 months. Oftentimes, it's a little shorter than that. 1.5 months is the starting point. In the middle of our design process, essentially, that option was done away with by the state education department. So the schedule that would have worked may not work as well. So that's where it comes in, that we're trying to take a couple of months off. We're always going to feel like we're a little bit behind, but it's worth a little bit of extra effort to increase our chances to be successful when it comes to the schedule. And like I said, the end goal ultimately, which is very much achievable, is construction starting the summer of 2024. So
There was a bunch of annotations about elevation 8, 9, 10. I don't see any of that in the overall schematic.
So this 10 pages
Yeah,
is a selection. Our drawing set of sheets is nearing an inch thick right now. So there's a lot that you're not seeing here. That is more of the granular parts of the construction documents that are, let's say, more important for the bidding and construction portion than really interpreting the design.
so the term elevation is a kind of a in-house term, it has nothing to do with,
Elevation is the front view of things.
pardon me?
Yes, so for our drawings, elevation means you're looking at the wall
Okay,
vertically, as opposed to elevation grade, which is also used in its own context.
Because of the.
I'll accept that.
Okay.
Don't go any deeper, because I'm,
Well, I was just gonna say, for in general, because of this short tile that you see here that might refer to drawings that aren't here, because of our shortened time frame, we haven't been taking time to create presentation drawings for you like we originally did. So we're just pulling out the sheets that are in progress, just to save more time to work on the drawings that are in progress.
Yeah, just show you a selection of what's going on, yeah. So I'll talk a little bit, unless there's any questions, I'll talk a little bit about the federal fund project.
I just have a quick question in regards to that submittal to New York State. Do you guys have a rough idea of when that submittal will take place?
Rough, yes.
Rough guess.
Yeah, we're targeting the end of next month to get into SED. That's at least 2 months quicker than we had previously anticipated. It's closer to 3 months quicker. So, we're trying like heck to make that deadline, because the last thing we want to do is submit something that's not complete enough to be reviewed for permit. So there will be, some design process and decision that just continues on, through the end of the project. But we're hoping to be at a stopping point towards the end of July to be able to get that together. Yeah, that's what I'll say about that. So the federal funds project, we've had a number of initiatives for the federal funds as a result of COVID, and we've been in good shape, creating those projects, bidding and delivering those projects. We're always chasing sort of the finances and being able to get as much as we can for the little amount of money that's allocated. So that's something we're getting into. But right now, we are under construction with what is our sort of final piece of the federal funding. We are, as you can see if you look out here, we're developing a patio for an outdoor classroom. There's 4 columns right now, I believe, out of the 5 that are the complete design. They're slowly working through the concrete patio area. It's moving much slower than we would ever want sort of a concrete and site work job, and that's something we're dealing with contractors right now. It's been great to be able to do some work, accommodating the contractors to be able to progress during the school year. It's going a little bit slower because there are restrictions for that, but as you know, we're getting toward the end of the school year, and once the school year officially ends, they'll be close to done with this set, and they'll be moving into the elementary school courtyard. So that is set to start right after I can't remember the dates exactly, but it's probably the 26th that it starts. And that's a very complicated project because it's confined in a courtyard, so there'll be lots of dirt taken out and dirt put in and concrete shuttled in on buggies. It's a very expensive place to work inside of a courtyard where you have to go through double sets of doors to get concrete. But the good news is it's the federal fund initiative has allowed us to do what should be some great outdoor learning spaces. We'll have power and Wi-Fi up to these spaces. Each will have overhead cover that provides shade and at least some protection from inclement weather.
And Mike, correct me, but I believe that the media center, we have had testing here, so that obviously we need to respect testing going on, and I would assume that that would be part of the reason for it being slower.
Part of the reason, yes.
Yes, the contractors have been given schedules from the high school and middle school in regards to testing and things going on, so they've stopped some of the work that they've been doing in and around some of those, whether it's AP, IB, now moving into Regents exams.
Yeah, and today's reality, which we don't necessarily see ending really soon, is that contractors and subcontractors and material suppliers are spread really thin. So we're pouring concrete. There should be half a dozen people doing 3 times as much work in a single day. We're getting to maybe we're seeing smaller portions done each day. And, we do what we can, between us and Schoolhouse, the construction manager, to encourage things to stay on schedule. Of course, we have what is not really a super difficult schedule to meet, so they're sort of milking it. Other questions?
If you could just, you gave Daphne, said you have it digitally so it can be attached to, the presentation could be, or the drawings can be attached then to board docs in case the public or anyone wants to view it.
Yeah.
That would be helpful. I
We have it,
appreciate
we'll hand
that.
it over to Daphne.
And I do appreciate the fact that you have not stopped to create a presentation. I think these drawings are more than sufficient, and it is not worth the stopping to create something when we can look at this. This is more than good enough. Thank you.
Yeah, and by all means, we're completely willing to create as many, pretty pictures as necessary to push the design along, and I feel that we've done that for at several stages. So I think that the team from the district has done sort of really well, really understanding what is being discussed and what things are going to look like. So we're in very good shape. Thanks.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Joanne.
Hey, Matt.
All right, now I'm going to turn it over to Sierra Pizzola, our communications specialist, who will give us an update on communications.
Not so good. Not so good.
Hey everybody. I will keep this short because I know you guys have a big night ahead of you, but I just wanted to give you a little update on where we are for communications for this year and the changes that we'll be making next year. So one of the first things that I started with when I came in August was our bi-weekly curriculum email updates. We had some really good readership starting out in the beginning. At the middle school, we had middle school and high school, we were in the 230 range, and as of our last email that went out, we had about 40 people looking at the middle school and the high school. So we're gonna look to shift our focus from that. We don't have enough people reading or enough teachers contributing to really sustain it. So we're gonna shift that and move into a, I don't have a name for it yet, but it's gonna be a weekly email, and it'll be K-12. The public can view it too. It'll be on our social media, on our website. It'll be emailed every week. It'll be embedded in the news section of the website, and it'll be a one-stop shop for sends out, you can click into the menu and click communications. You can see what we've been sending out, every communication that's gone home. And then lastly, we made an update to the calendar online, so it'll be much more interactive where you can see event details, location, notes, more things, another place for parents to go to get all that information. And that's about it. So I just want to give you guys an update. Yeah.
So in the communication tab, is that only for new stuff, or did you roll it back and incorporate everything from this year?
It actually incorporates everything since we started using the ThrillShare platform for our website, so I believe it goes back to 2019.
Thank you.
And I went through and I sorted them all by date too, so it's separated by year. If there's a specific COVID communication you're looking for, it's all in there.
All right, thank you very much.
Sure. Any other questions? Yes.
How long has it been now? Just a year since you came on board?
I started in August.
Yeah, so not quite a full year, but I mean,
Not yet.
I knew it was in this last budget year. What challenges do you have that we're not addressing?
The number one challenge I have is teacher-parent communication. And I think a lot of times when the community says our communication is good or bad, they're not describing communication in the same way. So we've actually just gotten results from the latest perception survey that I've been analyzing, and a lot of people have said that our district communications are much improved this year, which we like to hear. But the communications between teachers and parents has not improved. So that's something, a challenge I'm facing that I'm looking to conquer in the next year.
And you're gonna be in the middle of that?
Apparently. Just as a communications title. I don't know the solution yet, but there's gotta be one out there, so
Okay.
I'm hoping to work with teachers and see. I know at the elementary level, we started instituting weekly, it was optional, but it was weekly classroom updates, so I gave elementary teachers a template that they could send out to parents. And the ones that participated in it had great feedback from parents, so looking to see how we can make it easier for teachers to do that at a middle and high school level.
And there's nothing from a resource point of view?
I
that-
think,
Go ahead.
I'm sure there are resources out there, but a lot of the data from the perception survey had to do with parents wanting individual communications about their student, not so much like our curriculum email that went out bi-weekly. They didn't want to know so much what their student was learning overall for those dinner table conversations. They wanted to know, hey, Timmy got a 60 on his last test, and you really need to do this, this, and this to help him improve. It sounded like those were the things that were missing.
Okay, I guess I'm not making myself clear. Are there any tools of the trade that you think would benefit the overall communications effort that you don't have access to?
I think we have, in terms of communication, everything we need at our
Good.
fingertips. It's just using it the
Good.
right way. Any other questions?
I would just like to thank you for being flexible, and as we kind of tweak things and that ability to tweak, to say, okay, this was our intention, how are we doing, let's get the feedback, and just continuous improvement, so thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
So now we'll move it over to the discussion. I do want to mention, I just noticed that the open forum is later than we normally have it.
Do you wanna move it up?
Do we want to move it up? Do we want to keep it? I'm just asking, I just noticed it right now, so how do people feel?
We move the open forum up right now.
Okay,
I agree, I think it might be better for some people if they're here for every meeting.
okay, so then do we need a motion to?
It's just an
change?
order change.
It's an order change is okay? All right, then I'm going to switch and now have an open forum. And so the 30-minute open forum is the time the board sets aside to hear in-person comments from the public. Comments may also be emailed in advance of the meeting prior to 4 p.m. on the date of the meeting, and state in an email that you would like your correspondence read out loud to Daphne Pearson, District Clerk at PearsonD@GreenvilleCSD.org. This is an opportunity for residents to voice general concerns and compliments, especially about items on the agenda. However, this is not the time to register complaints about specific individuals or about items that should be addressed confidentially through the proper channels. All comments will be addressed to the district clerk and shall be limited to not more than 5 minutes per board policy 2180. And please note that members of the board may not be able to directly respond to citizens' concern. Is there anyone that would like to speak? Do we have any emails? Yes, okay.
I have a bunch. I got to go all the way? Okay.
If you could just come over to the mic, tell us your name,
Yep.
just for the record. Thank you.
Rob Tessier. How are we on the budget with this project?
We are on budget. This is the separate capital budget that was voted on and approved in December for that. So since we will stay at that budget, and so
Right.
if it means that there are items that cannot be addressed, then items cannot be addressed. But we cannot go over that number. Am I correct? Yes.
No, my
Okay.
question is, to date, how much money have we spent of the budget to date? And
That
are we
would
where we're
be,
supposed to be?
For the big capital project,
Yeah.
right, some architectural,
just architectural, that's it.
And how much money was that?
Get back to the, have to look at it.
Gotta find the right account.
I think.
right, well, Janet's looking for that. Is there a follow-up question that
Well, I'm
you
just
have?
checking to make sure that, you know, whatever was budgeted to this point for all the diagrams and everything is, we're right where we're supposed to be.
Yes, I
But we
believe
are,
so.
yeah.
Are we? We budgeted how much to do this to this point? Do we know?
What do you mean, we budget?
Well, normally you would budget something to get your plan started. Okay, whatever the dollar amount is.
There's a large amount, there's the full budget for the project.
Yes, but
and
I'm
then-
talking about drawing up the plans. There has to be a fee for drawing up the
Yes.
plans, that is part of the budget. And of that part of the budget, are we on budget for that
Yes.
item line?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Good?
Yes. Yep.
Yes,
Good. Thank you.
Okay.
I can offer somewhat of an answer if you're interested in hearing from me.
Sure.
So,
wait, Matt,
Since our
can I just
contract
ask you
was
to go
built-
over there, Matt, because,
Sorry.
on the recording, they will not be able to hear it. So we can hear it in here, but they won't be able to hear it on the recording. Thank you.
So, since our contract with the district was built on the original schedule that had us completing design in October, we are billing the district on that schedule. So, as we make progress ahead of time, we're still building on a slower schedule. So you're in very good shape as far as the budget goes for the early design.
Thank you for the clarification, I appreciate it. And I do believe we do have an email. Daphne, if you could read it, please.
It's long. Dear members of the Greenville Central School District Board and Superintendent Bennett, I am writing, and this email is from Robert Pendicio. I'm writing to offer my sincere congratulations on the initiation of a comprehensive curriculum audit within our district. Your commitment to delivering the highest quality education to the students of Greenville is commendable, and I applaud your efforts. In light of the curriculum, I want to emphasize an evaluation provided by EdReports, a nonprofit organization that evaluates curricula for alignment to standards and other indicators. According to EdReports, the current phonics program used in Greenville's Really Great Reading is rated as only partially meeting expectations. This evaluation raises concern about the effectiveness of the program in meeting the needs of our students. Of greater concern, EdReports evaluation reveals that the units of study program currently employed in our district does not meet expectations at all. This assessment underscores the urgency of exploring alternative approaches to ensure our students receive the highest quality English Language Arts ELA education. Furthermore, it is crucial to note that New York City, where units of study has been the dominant approach to reading instruction for at least 2 decades, has recently announced the discontinuation of the program. Instead, they have mandated the adoption of curricula-based or on scientifically sound instruction. Regardless of the outcome of its forthcoming audit, Greenville should follow suit and insist on the discontinuation of units of study. The most important consideration in choosing an ELA curriculum is to avoid the common misunderstanding that reading comprehension is a transferable skill like riding a bike, which can be learned, practiced, mastered, or applied to any text. To be clear, decoding is a skill, which is why a strong phonics-based program in the early elementary grades is essential. But reading comprehension is a complex process that is deeply connected to a person's background, knowledge, vocabulary, and understanding of the world. It requires a solid foundation of knowledge in various subjects delivered as part of a comprehensive and coherent curriculum delivered with fidelity over many years. To guide your decision-making process, I strongly urge the board to study the knowledge mapping work conducted by the Johns Hopkins University Institute for Education Policy, led by David Steiner, the former New York State Education Commissioner, and to insist district personnel be guided by its work. No ELA curriculum should be adopted or even considered that does not meet the criteria for high quality as outlined by Johns Hopkins. As you embark on this critical phase of decision-making, I offer my assistance and expertise should the school board require any further information or guidance. Thank you again for your ongoing commitment to our students and the community. Yours sincerely, Rob Pendicio. And he links 4 different literary sources, yeah.
In the microphone, 4 different what?
He links 4 different sources.
Okay.
For his information.
Daphne, is it possible to get a copy of that to see the links?
I emailed it to the board and to Superintendent Bennett.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other emails? Well, Daphne's.
Go ahead. We're good.
Okay,
No
go
problem.
ahead.
It's just in regards to that email. So
If you could just state your name, we
Sure,
know
that's
who
right,
you
for
are.
record. James Bucci.
Yeah.
I was curious, and I don't know if you can answer the question, but when an email like that comes in, which is in regards to the curriculum, is there a process or a place where that would now fall? I mean, it's being brought up to the board. The board may or may not be familiar with some of the things that were brought up. Is that something that the board would further discuss now, or bring up on an agenda down the road, or hand off to the principals or the superintendent to consider some of those things, since it came to the board, may have not gone to the administration? It sounded pretty interesting. I don't know if there was any thoughts on that.
Well, what I can share is that part of the discussion is we're gonna talk about the curriculum audit. So in that instance, we will be discussing it.
Okay.
Shortly, like in 5 minutes.
Okay, all right, I was curious.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
I think there is also, Daphne, did that email come to you specifically? Yes, okay. And
asked
then,
me to read it.
thank you. And the other option is, there's always the option to email the board directly. So if you go on the website, there is a link that comes directly to us. So if that answers your question. Is there anyone else that would like to say anything? All right, if not, I'm gonna move us on then back to discussion and to the curriculum cycle and the curriculum audit timeline. And I'll turn it over to Mike Bennett.
Thank you, Tracy. So yes, to kind of build off of that email and some of the discussion that we've been having, we'll get to that in just a moment. One of the things that we have been tasked to do through our policy curriculum review is to do just that, a curriculum review. And there's a difference between a curriculum review that we will do with our Director of Curriculum and Instruction and Assessment, along with our teachers, that we do this cycle that we've put forth, where we'll take a look at 3 separate curricular areas, where we were looking kind of with some of the work that we've done with school improvement, where we're taking a look at where are we now, what are we currently doing, kind of get a record of the work that's happening in the classrooms. We'll update it annually in regards to review, reflection, and looking at data helps to drive that. And so ELA, math, and our pupil personnel services are our first ones up that we will take a look at over the course of the year, updated annually, and then kind of connect them to district goals, and then kind of where do we want to be. Now, the discussion that we've had at the board level is the difference between a curriculum review and a curriculum audit. And the district went through a curriculum audit in 2016, was the last time it's been done. I believe CASDA came in and provided the district with a comprehensive process in which they went through and took a look at curriculum here in the district, interviewed teachers, interviewed administration, took a look at processes, and with that report, they came back and furnished a report for the Board of Education moving forward. So what the board has asked us to start to take a look at is, when do we do another curriculum audit? And really taking a look at who would provide that audit, what are they looking at, and setting a timetable for that. It's a labor-intensive process when we talk about curriculum audits. Something that you usually have an external group do, whether it's Questar, CASDA. I'm not familiar. I'll have to take a look at some of the links that were sent in regards to some of the information that's out there. And then from there, take that feedback and really take a look at our curriculum and how we want to move forward. So it's really that process of a review that we'll kind of do internally and work with our teachers, our coaches, our department heads, and then that curriculum audit will have an outside agency come in and do a deeper dive in which we will look to get more information from them to evaluate our curriculum. What are we doing well? Where are our challenges? What do we need to do differently? So in regards to that email, that is something that will be thrown into the mix in regards to taking a look at. There's a lot of different research articles out there. There's a lot of different views on some of these things. So we want to make sure that we are following what the audit and the folks doing the audit suggest us to do that works best for us here in Greenville. So that's kind of where we're at in regards to the difference between a curriculum review and a curriculum audit. So we will start that process in the coming weeks to take a look at the audit, get an idea of some different agencies that can come in, and then hopefully during the course of the winter months we'll be able to get someone in and begin that curriculum audit. More to come on that.
I was just going to suggest that we define what CASDA is. It's a group out of SUNY Albany that we contracted with back in 2016 to do that review. It was done after a bid, and we will definitely do this again, I would imagine. There are other groups. Syracuse University comes to mind as one. CASDA is Capital District School Development Association. That's what it stands for. And it's a ongoing function, adjunct, I guess, to State University of Albany. I only do that because we're recording and a lot of people just won't know. I have one question though. Is the board all got a good number of the people on the board right now weren't here in 2016, but Tracy and I were. Eric, I don't think you were, but you came on afterwards. Jim did, everybody else did. So we all got copies of that again to refresh our memory or to bring us up to date. Is it on the website? that study?
I do not believe that it is.
Okay, maybe we could ask Sierra to stick it up on the website, so anybody who wanted to take a look at what the audit resulted in last time would be able to do that, as we're getting ready to go out and do it over again.
Maybe one of the things we can do is we can add it basically to this meeting, and just under the discussion, just include it right there. So the previous presentation and document, so if anyone has any questions for that. I think one of the questions is which subject to focus on, and my recommendation, I think, is to focus on right now with the audit primarily on ELA. I think there have been a lot of developments that have been happening in the past 3 years that we should be aware of, and I think would benefit to the students at Greenville for that. I don't know how many subjects you can do it, but I think it's important that it be tight enough in order for it to be manageable. So those are some of the questions that when we go out to bid, we can ask traditionally what are done and so forth. What are some of the thoughts that other members have?
I think that ELA is a good starting point. So I know that with COVID, there's been a learning loss, and it seems to be impacting ELA pretty hot. As far as audit, when I think of audit, I think, at least in my mind, audit is something where you define what the process is, and someone outside comes in and says, okay, that's what you say you do. Are you doing it? And they do an analysis to see if you do what you say you're doing, and making sure that everything's being done. I think that we also need here maybe a gap analysis for what is missing. It's more than just the audit, it's also telling us deficiencies that might not be here, especially if it's, we're being compared to state testing or regs that are out there we're supposed to be doing for teaching, making sure that we're teaching everything we're supposed to be teaching, where an audit might say, oh, we're doing wonderfully for what we say we're doing, but if we've got gaps, we won't know.
My input also, I agree with the ELA portion. Would also be for us, and it's funny that Mrs. Conis has left here. Tonight she was one of the recognized people for the gifted GATE programs on inception. I've been on the GATE committee for a couple of years now, and one thing it has stalled. I am concerned about the you have to put into practice where I think we watch every student, but also we need to be careful about the students on cruise control that we're not watching. They're not being challenged. And it's not only the gifted where the inception is where they're at a much higher level. I think sometimes it's awareness that they need another approach or something in order to trigger them so they can continue to rise where they're able to be. So I think supporting the needs of the students and looking into promote the GATE program at an earlier age through the Ellis, and then transitioning through the middle school is needed, I think, to get back again.
So Daphne, do you want to just let Duncan know?
I found it on board docs, if anybody wants to look it up. It was the January 9th, 2017 meeting, and it was a curriculum audit prepared by CASDA, and their reports are there.
Oh, they are on.
Anything else related to that? Okay, then I'm going to turn over to Jeff Honeywell, School District Attorney, who's going to give us an update and talk a little bit about the athletic fields.
Now, if I could just introduce.
But before you do, Mike would like to say
Sure.
something.
If I could just introduce Mr. Honeywell and remind the Board of Education that Jeff was enlisted to take a look at some of the struggles we were having with some of the fields and some of the work that had been done. So we have commissioned him to look into that a little deeper, and I know that there was some ask of the Board of Education to have him do that work, work with his forensic architect, and take a look at some work that had gone on, so that's why Jeff's here. Teeing it up for you, buddy.
Thank you, Mike. And as the board knows, and actually several people in the audience, I'm Jeff Honeywell, one of the school attorneys for Greenville, and I've been a school attorney for 4 years, and I like to say these days out loud. But also part of my entire career, I've done work for school districts related to capital projects, whether it's negotiation, architect agreements, CM agreements, bid issues, or God forbid, when problems arise in the project. So with that little bit of background, it was just about a year ago that Mike gave me a call and said there was a problem with the new fields that were completed over 3 years ago now, coming up on 4 years. I want to make very clear that was before Matt and Joanne and SEI were engaged. They've been engaged since that project, so I just want to make that very clear for Matt and Joanne. Essentially, there was some ponding going on in the warning track of the field. Like many problems, originally it appeared fairly minor. In fact, I remember conversing with Mike in the construction claim world, really unless you're talking significant dollars, they're difficult to chase, to use my phrase. As information evolved and as I started speaking with the Board of Education, it seemed to be a little bit of a bigger issue, or at least the fix for the issue was getting more expensive. Still not, in the world of construction claims, not major, but certainly major for tax dollars that are being spent. The short version on the fields issue relates to some ponding occurring on the newly constructed baseball field, to a much lesser extent on the softball field. With the board's understanding and acknowledgement, we did engage a forensic engineer that I work with frequently, who also has a civil engineer on his staff, and we've looked at it. I don't want to get into legal weeds, and I promise not to, okay? But basically, when something goes wrong with a capital project, you can fall into one of three categories. Was there bad design? Did the architect do something wrong, negligent? Was there bad workmanship? Did the contractor do something wrong in putting the work in? Or was it just what you could get, what's within reason of getting? The only legal weed I'll get into is one factor here is that even if there is negligence by the architect, the statute of limitations, the time within which you have to sue them, is 3 years, and that time had passed by the time we were having these conversations. The statute of limitations to sue a contractor if there's a workmanship issue is 6 years, so we have a longer window there. The short version on the fields is after our review and due diligence by the board and asking us to retain a forensic engineer to take a look at it, there are no discernible design problems in the project. There's no negligence involved. There's no contractor error involved. The contractor built what was designed on the project. And it wasn't perfect, but what it comes down to, and I'm going to give credit to Matt for an analogy that works. No, this is good, Matt, don't worry, all right? You know, sometimes with athletic fields, you sort of have good, better, best. And what you have is a good athletic field. The design is a good. What you have now, because of some fixes that SEI designed that were put into place last fall, you're at a better level. You're still not at the best level in terms of athletic fields. That would involve significantly more drainage being installed, perhaps a deeper soil analysis because a lot of it's clay out there. So the short version is the board asked us to take a look at it legally and from an engineering point of view, and we have discovered no meaningful error by the architect or by the contractor involved, and you're properly following up and doing whatever remediation is being recommended by your current architect. I'm going to switch gears a little bit to the tennis courts. That was the other half of the challenge. That came up again a little later in the process. again, we've had it looked at under the same two umbrellas. Was the design bad? Was it a poor design? And the answer is no. The design was within the reasonable standards or standard of care that would apply to an architect. Next point, and again, you're more than 3 years removed from that going in anyways. And by the way, the issue at the tennis courts is some, there's probably a better term for it, but it's a collapsing of some of the pavement around the fence post because some stone work underneath has settled down and created a cavity which is not supporting the top of it. It's not huge and it's occurring in 1 or 2 spots. So the next question was workmanship. There is some possibility there was a workmanship issue. Essentially, as we understand it, with a lot of help from Rich, the entire new tennis court was constructed in terms of the court itself and the green stuff on top and all of that. And then the contractor elected to core down through that existing surface, newly installed surface, to then install the piping, which we believe is probably what created the issue to lead to some of the failure. Here's the good news. Mike or somebody at his behest spoke with the head of that company last fall, who's been extremely responsive and has promised to come back and fix those areas around the post at no charge to the owner. We're still waiting for that to happen, but we still have time under the applicable statute. And certainly a contractor coming back to fix the problem at no charge to the district is about as good as it's going to get in that regard. So, in sum, the board has properly asked all of the right questions. I think has properly authorized the small expenditure to retain a outside expert and is doing what it needs to do right now to address the issue, but there is no legal action to be pursued for a whole bunch of reasons. I offered to make this presentation primarily, they know everything I just said, make sure the public is informed and we've had this conversation. Questions, comments, things I might have missed?
I would just give the board an update. They have come back and filled in many of the holes up to this point in and around those fence posts, so they are making good on that work. There's a few more to take place, but they're doing that.
Good, good. The gentleman in charge of the company actually has an excellent reputation, so that's true to his reputation. Not every contractor has that reputation. So, any questions from the board or Mike or anyone?
Was the original design very good feel?
It was probably good. So if your 3 categories, it was good, not better, not best.
So they designed it good?
They designed it within the standards an architect would design that kind of athletic field to. And I wasn't privy to the conversations that might have occurred back then, but what I tell you what happens a lot, and I'll just make up an example. The cost estimate that Matt referred to comes in, and the project you're going to do is, the cost estimate is $22 million. And a board or a superintendent say, we can't spend $22 million, can you get it below 20? So now the goal becomes to get it to 19.9 or 19.8. Well, to do that, you have to cut certain things out of the project. Quite often fields where that might occur first as opposed to instructional space. I don't know that that happened here at all, but that's not a bad example. All right. Thank you very much, and that's good news.
Thank you. All right, let's see, Greenville policy overview. So just a quick update. The policy committee has decided to do a complete review of all of the current policies. Now, right now, we have about a little under 100 policies. So it will take, it's anticipated 2 to 3 years, and we are working with the law firm that helps us write our policy in order to put together a timeline for the entire review. Part of that will also include if there are policies that the board feels Greenville should have, then the committee will also take a look at those policies and then fit them in the schedule. Right now, there are two types of policies. There are required policies, and then there are, which are required by New York State, and then we have policies that are not required by New York State. So in prioritizing everything, we're going to be looking first at the policies that are required by New York State. The last time this was done was 2016, so it's time to just review them. That said, if we had changes that were needed along the line since 2016, we were continuously updating them so that our policies are in keeping with New York State. But we felt, or the committee felt, that it was necessary to take a step back, look at all policies in general, and see where our needs are and so forth. So wanted to provide that update. One of the questions I would ask of the board is, NYSBA has a index. It has a list of all the different policies that they provide. And if members could take a look at that list, and if there are specific policies that they would like the policy committee to review or to have a discussion about whether they should be adopted or incorporated into Greenville, then to have that discussion. For example, Jim, you just spoke about the gifted and talented. So there is, I believe, on the NYSBA list, a gifted and talented. And it's just an index of all the different policies. So then it sounds like from you that you would like the committee to then evaluate whether we should have a gifted and talented policy. So if each one of us can go through that index and see if there are specific policies that they would like the committee to review, that would be helpful. So I just wanted to kind of give everyone an update and also just establish what the overall timing, we're figuring 2 to 3 years to do a comprehensive review. Okay. One last thing that we added in is just to provide a very brief update about the community workshop. We had the community workshop on the 30th, and the information was sent out. It is on the website. So, all right, let me step back for a second. I would say it was very well attended by the community. We had like at least over 50 individuals attending, absolutely. Everyone came in. We had 2 specific questions that we were addressing, and people divided up between the different tables and then reported out. That information has since been posted on the website, as well as I believe social media on Facebook. So if anyone was not able to attend, they can see the information that was gathered. Mike and the administrators will be reviewing all of the information and then reviewing it mostly over the summer, and then presenting if changes are needed and so forth based upon that. So right now we're probably looking at realistically the August board meeting to have a follow-up on that. But I just wanted to give everyone a quick update on what happened there. And thank you to everyone who attended and provided feedback. I think it was a very good session. I think everyone was very respectful. We had differing opinions, but it was wonderful to see kind of everyone work together for that. There were also a lot of common elements from that. So thank you, everyone. All right, so now I'm going to move us on to the action items. So the first thing, I'm going to combine the minutes. So 7.1 and 7.2. I need a motion to approve the minutes from May 8th as well as from the business meeting on May 19th, 2023.
Eric and Jim?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I need a motion to approve the finance reports for the month ending May 31st.
Eric? Jim?
Any discussion? Yes, Duncan?
Yeah, I didn't get a stipend. Yeah.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I need a motion to accept the Committee on Special Education recommendations.
Jim? Eric?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I need a motion to approve the personnel agenda.
Eric? Jim?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I need a motion to approve the results of the May 16th, 2023 annual vote and election.
Jim? Eric? Thank you.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I need a motion to adopt the resolution of the Board of Education of the Greenville Central School District to authorize a district clerk to unseal and open the ballot box and destroy official ballots from the May 2022, last year, school board election and budget vote.
Jim and Eric?
Any discussion?
Yes.
Yes.
I want to remind everybody that we do this annually. We always destroy last year's. This is nothing new.
That is correct. Any other questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I need a motion to approve the 23-24 school improvement and district goals development calendar.
Jim and Eric?
Any discussion? I have a question on this one. We have the board has a workshop on February 10th. And right now, I believe that the calendar shows a presentation to the board on the 12th. So I was thinking that it would just be, I don't know that there's a need on the 12th if we're doing it on the 10th. Okay, so if we could just, I guess,
What are the dates of those days of the week?
the board workshop was on a Saturday, which is the 10th, but then the 12th was the Monday business meeting.
So we'll do it on the 12th.
This business meeting will be at the 12th. The
Right.
workshop's on the 10th, and I think she's asking to put the report on the 10th.
We'll have to take a look at that.
Okay, all right. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It's a living document. It can change, right?
That is correct, yes. I need a motion to approve the transfer to the New York State Teachers Retirement System Retirement Contribution Reserve Subfund.
Eric? Need a second? Need a second?
Second.
Jim, thank you.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I need a motion to approve the transfer of funds to the Employee Benefit Accrual Liability Reserve.
Eric and Jim, thank you.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I need a motion to approve the intermunicipal agreement between the Greenville Central School District and the County of Greene and the Sheriff of Greene County for a school resource officer and SRO for the period of September 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024 in the amount of $66,927.90.
Jim, Eric?
Any discussion?
I'm just curious, is it the same amount?
As last year, no, I believe that there's an increase,
2%?
2%. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I need a motion to approve the contract between the Greenville Central School District and the Center for Spectrum Services for the school year program July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2023.
Jim and Eric?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I need a motion to approve the contract between the Greenville Central School District and the Center for Discovery for the school year program, July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024.
Eric and Jim?
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. I need a motion to approve the contract between the Greenville Central School District and Louise Asphalt Services for tar sealing and striping. Would have two Ps otherwise, of asphalt in the amount of $76,745.
Eric, Jim?
I'm sorry, I messed up last time, so it's just, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I need a motion to approve the contract between the Greenville Central School District and RMB Mechanical Inc. for work related to the dust collector replacement project at the middle school, high school in the amount of $294,000.
Eric and Jim?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Jim? I need a motion to approve the contract between the Greenville Central School District and Stilsing Electric Inc. for the electrical work related to the dust collector replacement project at the middle school, high school in the amount of $57,467.
Eric, Jim?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I need a motion to award the refuse removal bid to County Waste in Ulster, LLC for 23-24.
Duncan and Eric?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I need a motion to award the security film bid to Armored One LLC for 23-24.
Eric and Jim?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I need a motion to appoint the following individuals to serve on the Board of Voter Registration for 23-24. We have Kathy Gaspar, Susan Cunningham, Patricia Macco, Eileen Bowden. Let's see, as County Election Inspector, Judith Elliott Brown. Chief Election Inspector would be Sarah Statham.
Jim and Eric?
Any discussion?
I thank them all.
We thank them all. All in favor?
Aye.
Now we can thank them all. I need a motion to approve policy 6320, pre-referral intervention strategies in response to intervention.
Jim and Eric?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Duncan?
I'm trying to figure out,
There's extra words in there, because I had copied it over from, are you referring to the slash of Michael Bennett? Yeah.
Yeah, I just kind of ignored that.
Okay.
I copied it over as a discussion item into an action item, and
okay, no problem.
should have edited that out.
Aye.
Thank you.
I need a motion to approve the surplus items listed below for textbooks.
Eric and Jim?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I need a motion to approve an overnight field trip to Camp Oswegatchie. Oh, I said that correctly. Don't ask me to spell it.
First time ever, good job.
I know, exactly.
I have a first, Eric, and a second. Jim, thank you.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Let's see, so, board member topics for future discussion. If anyone has input items or that they'd like to see discussed? You look very confused, Eric. Have I messed something up?
No.
Okay,
I was just thinking and my brain hurts.
that's allowed. Does anyone have anything off the top of their head that they'd like to see? Then some quick reminders. We have the advancement ceremonies. Yes, it is fast approaching the end of the school year. We have the 5th grade advancement, which is on Wednesday, June 21st at 8:30 at the elementary auditorium. We have the 8th grade advancement on Thursday, June 22nd at 9 a.m. And then the high school graduation, Friday, June 23rd at 6 p.m., the high school. So please let Daphne know which ones you'll be attending and so forth. I think it's a wonderful occasion just to celebrate our students and all the hard work that has gone into each year and all of their accomplishments, and it's wonderful to be able to observe it.
One thing also, this Wednesday, the 14th, out on Alice at 8:30, I believe. Mr. Mahan's not here, but we'll be celebrating Flag Day. We'll be bringing the color guard with the American Legion. All the kids come out and they perform the national anthem and God Bless America. So it is open to everyone in the public to attend. So please come.
Thank you. We also have our next, we have a year-end business meeting, which just, since the fiscal ends on June 30th, before we start the new fiscal, we always have 2 meetings in June, just to allow us to have any last-minute financial needs that may come before we have to close the books. So the next meeting is June 26th. The organizational meeting will happen July 10th. And then July 31st, we have a board workshop whereby we'll be going through and developing goals for the board and also evaluating our performance for the last year's goals. So those are the upcoming dates, so please mark your calendar. So with that, I'll move us on to the closing open forum, and please note the same guidelines apply as stated during the first open session. Is there anyone that would like to speak? Do we have any emails?
You do not.
Okay. Then I'm going to ask for a motion to be made to adjourn to executive session to discuss super eval for the superintendent's annual review.
I have Duncan, Eric?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.